What's up with it? Enlightened Masculinity. This is our show. We got live audience. We got live on YouTube. We got definitely lots of live on Zoom. We got live on Instagram. And these have been getting more and more views on the show. So shout out to Tony K and Jeremiah, staff members who post this podcast, make it available for everyone in the world. Man, there's not really, I have pictures all around my room, but the background right now, there's like, it's the one place in the room there's no picture, so it looks bland. There's lots of color here. Anyway, this is a red pill show about masculinity and enlightenment, and I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga. PhDs in engineering. Someone was just asking me. Environmental science, environmental engineering sciences specifically. That's just a mouthful to say. And no, you know what it is when I explain it to you, but you definitely don't know what it is until I explain it to you. It's like, what is environmental engineering sciences? Like, it's science, trust me, it's hard stuff, but it's not the glorious stuff like quantum physics or something. That would be like glorious, or aerospace engineering. That's like a glory science or something. And yeah, so I'm Captain of IMC Nation, coming to you from IMC Base 1. And this show, the concept is a very simple concept that I might be able to explain in just like a minute or two. And then I want to get some feedback and hear how it is for you guys, because it's literally like an innovation in my understanding. It's not necessarily an innovation in like how I'm doing things, but I think it's going to help me refine how I do things and sharpen it up. And so let me echolocate this off of you and see if you resonate with these vibes. So if you've ever fasted, let's just take fasting from food, for example. So you're fasting from food for, let's say, just 24 hours. Really, if you go 2 or 3 days, then you'll really start to notice this. And what you'll notice is how much time you spend eating, preparing your food, cleaning up after, using the bathroom, thinking about food. There's actually a lot of time because when you're fasting, you're like, man, not only are you hungry, but you're bored. You're like, I have all this time, and then when you break fast, then you see, oh, it took me so long to prepare my food or go get the food and clean up after, and then the time it took to eat and whatever. You'll notice when you're like watching something or studying something, you actually do you study much better, more deeply, more thorough than when you're like not eating than when you're eating. Eating may increase your attention span a little bit, but you're not as cleanly studying what you're observing. You're distracted by the internal sensations of chewing and flavor and everything. And you'll notice this when you fast, because you don't have but any choice but to occupy your time, occupy your mind while you're hungry or whatever. So anyway, the point is that another thing will happen if you fast for a long time is you start to notice, or you won't do as much frivolous activity. You won't have too much energy, so you won't move your body excess. You won't excessively talk, excessively do anything really. You don't have the energy. But if you have stuff to do, you still got to get shit done. So you end up kind of cutting off everything that doesn't contribute to the stuff you got to do, unless it's really enjoyable or somehow energizes you. You start really prioritizing shit and cleaning out your habits, because you just don't have the energy for that extra shit that doesn't, you just can't, like, you might not think it out too thoroughly, but you just basically can't make it make sense. You're like, why am I doing that? That doesn't make sense to do that. And I don't have the energy to just like throw at that. And it's similar with like communication lines. You don't want to talk with certain people because you don't have the energy for it. Okay. So you see all these extra movements, cooking, unproductive activity, unhealthy or unuseful communications. You start cutting them out. Okay. And it's a natural thing. The food you cut out because of discipline. You impose discipline. The other things you naturally don't do because it just doesn't feel good to waste energy when you have so little. All right. So using this analogy for life in your purpose, what you're going for is you got a vision. And your vision isn't just like one picture in your head. You have like a whole vision for yourself. It's going to work out like this. And then I'm going to do that. And then eventually I'll be here and there and everywhere. And, you might think your vision is so big and huge and all over the place, But the truth is 99.99999% of all possibilities for visions you're not doing. Your vision excludes actually a tremendous amount, and you're narrowed in on just you. And it might seem big to you because it's going to take a lifetime, but it's really just a narrow thing. And so you want to get clear on that and not be part of your goal is over here and then part of your goal is over here, and like your goals are going against each other. Okay. And so hence you're getting the analogy maybe of fasting. You don't have the energy. You don't want to dissipate energy in that activity, or you realize how much time you're using in this activity to cook or to clean the dishes or whatever. And you start realizing maybe I should buy fully packaged meals, or I should eat out more because it saves me the time. You start measuring your food. You're like, man, if I spend 45 minutes and the time value of my time is, let's see, it's $20 an hour. Like you start working it out. Maybe it would just make sense to do that, the convenience and, and those are steps on the process. This is like measuring your life as if it were a business. So make it your business, make your life your business. And so the idea basically, because I've kind of danced around it, but if I can go a little more direct, let me see if I can put, because I'm not trying to dance around it. Let me try to get direct with it. Is you have a lot of habits that you may not be aware of. Some you are, and more really, because if we say habits that are not productive to the end you're going for, there will be a continual, meaning it's not for a certain time period. It's not for just like a day or for a week you're improving your habits. It's continual. It keeps going because you'll find a better habit that's more productive, more conducive to your goals, and replace another habit. But then in the future, you'll find an even better habit. The context you find yourself in, the situation in life, that habit may have served its purpose and now you need a new habit. So you keep upgrading. Okay. And so it's not a bad thing that you have like unproductive habits. You just want to keep upgrading your habits so that, the end result is just a matter of fact. It's just a matter of the habits play themselves out and the result speaks for itself. It just gets there. So the idea being that if you're a man of tremendous ambition for yourself, so you're trying to do a lot, or you have big goals that carry weight, that a lot of people would say that they would have those goals. And so there's a competition here. Not everybody can be that. If they were, you wouldn't want to be that. So you got to literally beat out the intelligence and the energy and the support system and all the movement of the other guys that would want the same thing you're going for. That's going to take some vigilance. Honestly, half the battle is just keep showing up. Half the battle is just don't quit, because a lot of those guys, they'll just quit. Even if they're ahead of you, they'll just quit for some bullshit reasons. That's where we have like guys that are higher up in IMC and then they quit. They're like, what the hell? And it's like, man, we didn't realize that they were running on fumes, or they were burning themselves out, or, they were keeping secrets and just not trying to just bury it until it went away. Or girls, they bolt. The same thing. They got a secret. So what am I saying here? These habits. So when you have tremendous ambition for yourself, your time starts getting more and more limited. You get crunched for time. You're getting pressed from all angles because you want to be everywhere always doing all these things at the same time, but you only got the 2 hands and 24 hours and whatever. So when you start getting pressed for time, you start multitasking. You really start getting disciplined with your schedule. You start cutting out activities. Like I said, with the eating and if you're fasting, you don't do extra activities. The trap will be that you cut out all fun activities, all enjoyment, because you think you should delay all gratification. And that's the guy that maybe burns out or crashes or whatever. He's a disciplinarian on himself, like a Spanish Inquisition or something. That's not, maybe that works for somebody. I don't know, but it probably worked for somebody. That's probably why it's a strategy. But I don't really see that work. It didn't work for me. So you just got to make it reason. You got to reason it. Like even your pleasurable activities should contribute somehow. You know what I mean? Like if you played the guitar or something, like make it so that it's, as integrated in your life as possible, so that it's not just a loner thing, an antisocial thing that you go and do that thing and it doesn't have any positive feedback. It's just like its own little drain of your life. That maybe there's sense pleasure in that. I get it. There's some sense pleasure. So, I mean, in the beginning, that could be it, where it's just like it raises my state of mind and my vibe to play around for 20, 30 minutes on the guitar. And that makes my other work, I work better. Okay, that's beginning level. Good. You're thinking about it right. At some point, you'll be doing work that you enjoy, and the guitar just takes away from it. The guitar takes away from your relationships, unless you're using it for seduction, which is fine. But then you'll see that you're not always going to be doing that. And you really can't be that one trick pony in your seductions. Like, it only comes out sometimes. So just all the activities of your life, as you start getting pressed for time, it's kind of like when you're fasting, you start getting pressed for energy and you start cutting shit out. So being ambitious with your life is kind of like fasting from boyish pleasures. And you start getting pressed for time. So instead of fasting from food and getting pressed for energy, you start fasting from boyish activities and you start getting pressed for time. And so you will start to notice, just like when you were fasting, you were like, man, I normally right now, I would spend 20 minutes cooking this meal and I don't even have to do that right now. What am I going to do with my time? So you start getting pressed for time in your business and you start thinking, well, I'm not going to do that because that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, what am I going to do to fill my time and do it and fill it with something productive that puts out a piece of content or gets in communication with a new client or potential client, or creates a product, or meditate and works on my business? Maybe I plot out my business, or who knows? There's so many things that you could do. I'm just naming some of mine. Maybe you read that book, or that's something you study something that's related, or God damn, I could just keep going, keep thinking of stuff. So you start replacing what were habits, because you had the habit to watch Netflix in the middle of the day or something. You had the habit to, I don't know why I keep going to shows, like watch YouTube, or, eat your boredom away, or, I don't know, anything entertaining. Remember, that word entertainment means to keep the mind's attention on something. That's what entertainment is. So you entertain yourself. You're just keeping your mind occupied, kind of thing. And when you start getting pressed for time, you start seeing that some of your habits, well, you just naturally do away with them, because if you're so ambitious for that goal, you will naturally let go of things that don't serve it. And if you don't let go of those things, you're not ambitious enough. You don't have high enough focus for that, high enough affinity. You're not feeling good enough about your goal. It may not be that you don't like that goal. It may be that it's someone else's goal. It may be that you don't really believe you can get it. I don't know. There may be all sorts of things. But this perspective of, when I fast, I really see where my energy is dissipated. And when I'm fasting from boyish activities, I really see where my energy is being used in boyish activities that don't contribute to what I'm going for as an adult. And so I just wanted everybody to look at that. I wanted to share that. So I think I said I was going to do it for like a minute or two, and then I went like 12 minutes, 15 minutes on it. And I was going to see if I think it's impacting everybody. I can't really tell. So if there's any thoughts on that, then, we could dialogue about it. This is an Enlightened Masculinity podcast episode. So if anybody unmutes, people who watch these recordings, can hear the audience talk, unless nobody unmutes, but we got a big audience here. All right.
Hey, brother, I just had a question.
What's up, Jesse Paul from New Zealand?
What's up, bro? You talk about things that could possibly take your energy and things like that. Do you take in coffee yourself to keep you through those working days, or are you kind of past that and been able to tap into some sort of other energy that's more natural to yourself?
Both, because I really don't think that I need coffee or green tea. But I would say also that more days than not, I prepare a green tea for myself. Or like today, I was gonna get a decaf, but I just wanted a little more energy, so I got a half calf, half decaf. This is the first time I ever did that, and I'm sweating. My pits are sweating. I'm like, damn, I'm like caffeinated. I'm not that used to it, so I think I have lots of energy. I put the caffeine in because it does help with physical energy, so I like to do it in the morning before some workout or yoga or something. It lubricates the joints, I think I have plenty of energy for the activities that I do. I think what diminishes my energy is activities that I don't like and communications that I don't like. And really, the activities that I don't like, the only reason I know I don't like them is because I tell myself I don't like them. So it's kind of like an internal communication. So yeah, I know that the lack of energy is just my mind. And so that's going to be some kind of those things basically that I said. And so as you keep upgrading your life, ideally you have less and less of that. As you notice that that's where the lack of energy is coming from, because when you really enjoy, you could go from having no energy, laid out on the couch, and all of a sudden a thing that you really enjoy that you want to do comes up, and you all of a sudden have so much energy. Occasionally you're flat out tired and you're legit tired. You couldn't even get up to do that thing. And that's when you're really tired. That's like real tiredness. The other thing is just like a mental lethargy where you're just kind of mentally resisting something. And that's what's taking up your energy, your mental resistance, which I have those too. I mean, that's, so caffeine sometimes helps push through that, just like any food does that, just any distraction. Like if you have even like frozen grapes or something, you could chew on frozen grapes and just be entertained by that while you're doing some boring, mundane thing. The coffee does have that lasting effect. I like it for physical activities. It kind of makes me antsy when I'm just doing like non-physical activities all the time. It's not sustainable. So it's something maybe I would do back in school more for like, mass amount of studying or a mass amount of desk work or something, but it's definitely not sustainable because it takes away from the next day. And better to have the habit of putting in an hour of desk work a day versus like 8 hours in one day and then, not doing it for like a week. Okay. What's up? Let's crack a lacking. Anything else? So I'm about to go to yoga. I'm going to Bikram yoga. Normally I don't go on Fridays, but our morning class went late, so I didn't go to jiu-jitsu fighting. So I'm going to go to yoga. Normally I go to yoga on Tuesdays and Saturdays. It's a Bikram studio. So Bikram yoga, this is kind of like tangential. This is like completely changing the topic of well, no, it's not. It's actually the same topic. So just so you know, I'm about to go into yoga. I'm going to say the same topic just for like 3 minutes. And then I got to sign off because I'm going to yoga. So, Bikram yoga is kind of this, it's this codified, franchised method. So every class is exactly the same. It's the same script, different teachers, but no matter what time of day it is, what location it is in the world, it's the same thing. And so I've organized my schedule to go on Tuesdays and Saturdays because AZD goes every day. That's like his thing. And, whatever. But I was also doing jiu-jitsu because I'm exploring this other energy of combat and martial arts and fighting and what have you. Used to be a wrestler 15 years ago, stopped. So I hadn't done anything for 15 years and I started doing jiu-jitsu. Won't bore you with the whole story. Basically, so I didn't go to jiu-jitsu today because of long lectures. So I'll go to yoga and then I'll try to go again tomorrow, 2 days in a row. I've done hundreds of Bikram classes in the past, but that was a long time ago. I'm a lot stiffer now. It's just different. In that sequence, although it's scripted, it's very exact each time, there's a lot that's missing because you could never cover everything. Like people find weird, funny ways to do poses. They find weird, funny ways. So you have to like actually make up corrections for people. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you'll find, especially in hot yoga, but it is a thing in all yoga, is that the person will fidget in between postures. They're very uncomfortable. They do a lot of extra movement that's not necessary for the pose. The pose is that you just do that. And all the other things are you trying to like make yourself more comfortable, or, I mean, it's one thing to lose your balance, but I mean, like, you're trying to do all these other things to like kind of fit your mental image of what you think it is. But no, it's this. This is the pose. It's just like hold your arm like this or hold your leg like that. And then in between poses, people will do all sorts of extra things and move around. And that's not necessarily good or bad. In one sense, we could say it's bad if it's unconscious, if the person's fidgeting, and bad in the sense that it shows a lack of mature focus. It's not bad for the body. The body's moving because it needs to move. If it does some fidget or whatever, like it wants to. We would come in with our focus and discipline and say, don't flail your hand when you don't need to. It would be kind of like, I keep looking at Jesse. Jesse was, what do you call it, rugby or what have you. So I don't know jack shit about rugby except a couple things I've seen on TV. But you can imagine anything with running, there might be some form. You have form with running. So the elbows go like this, the heels, knees, hip alignment, the swing, the whatever. If you have your arms going out like this and your heels swinging out, you're throwing off energy into the side. Like if you're trying to do a sprint, you want your energy going forward, like all the limbs and everything. That's how you're going to get further faster, even though it may feel awkward because you have to kind of resist some things dealing with physics to make the limbs go in that linear fashion. But when the limbs go linear, all your momentum goes linear. You go further faster in that direction. Okay, so, but it might not be, you might not want to do that because you might need a juke and jive and all this stuff. So it's just about what are you trying to do? So the yoga practice, being that it's like a set template, it's this thing that you can kind of memorize and come to expect what's coming. And so you see where you deviate, where you go ahead, where you are lagging behind, where you're doing extra movements. And it is this way in the business of your life. Are you doing extra movements? Are you occupying the time in between this activity and that activity just because you're bored? Or could you not just sit and process what just happened before you transition to the next activity? It really just comes down to a matter of conscious awareness. Just being aware and not, and when I say conscious awareness, I felt for a second that some might interpret that as be tight, be so vigilant of everything you're doing. And it's like, well, okay, yes. Are you consciously aware of how tight you are while you're doing that? So it's just being aware. And, this path I see so much for myself is like fasting from frivolous, instant gratification, sense pleasures that don't contribute. And it's just continually upgrading of my habits, because my habits will make my success. This is from the greatest salesman in the world. And once I create good habits, success is inevitable. So you're either already on your way to your success because you already have those habits, or you're on your way to replacing your habits with those success habits. You're on the path. That's pretty cool. It's like I was telling the staff members yesterday, we've already won. We're on the winning team. Now we're just, making billboards for, hey, we're the winners. Here's some, we're making some merchandise. Hey, get the championships merchandise. These are the champions merchandise. We're already the champions. IMC's already the champion. We are the winning men's movement on planet Earth. Until I see anything that compares, I'll say that. I don't see anything that compares. Not even close. Every now and then I see a strong man speak on like YouTube. That's like, I'm not saying I can do what he does. I'm just saying like I admire that guy. That's cool. But then I also see like, where's his movement? Where are the guys? It's just him, or it's him and a couple guys. Like, it's just not the same, dude. So that's it for this episode of Enlightened Masculinity. Thanks everyone who attended live in person. That's dope. And I'll see you tonight. Everybody, there's an open class tonight. So if you're watching the recording of this and you see it or hear it later, then, we do these open classes. You want to get on the newsletter, the link in the description is how you get on the newsletter. Everybody here, you should be getting my emails. Check your spam if you're not, or message me if you're not, because that's, the fastest way to be getting in touch with you about these announcements or whatever. So just make sure you're tuned in with those. I'm going to go to yoga now. And any questions about yoga, you can DM me. Any questions about the advanced offering, imcbase1.com. It's tremendous this month. It's been very powerful, internally cleaning. I mean, so many results to speak of, but I'm not going to talk about them now. I got to go to yoga. I'll see you all tonight, 7 p.m. Os.